All right, we are going to use our exponent properties to solve a word problem. In this example, we have Adam. Adam is setting up for an outdoor concert. He places 3 square blankets. That is a key word right here, that the blankets are square. Near the band as shown in the pictures. What is the area of blanket C? So here's our picture over here. We've got our blanket A, blanket B, blanket C. We don't know anything about blanket A, and that's actually okay. That's not gonna come into play to answer this question. Blanket C, because it's a square, we know that multiply one side by the other side, so one side times itself, gives us a total area of X. And then we know that blanket B has a total area of 8. And then this square patch right here has a total area of 12. So let's just take a look at that blanket C for a second. Because the area is X, we can take the square root of X, or another way to write that is X raised to the 1/2 power to find each side length. You know, if this area was 25, then it would be a 5 by 5 blanket. If the area was 81, then it would be a 9 by 9 blanket. So if the area is X, then it's a square root of X by square root of X, or an X to the 1/2 by X to the 1/2. So I'm just going to go ahead and label this is X to the 1/2 power, each side length of blanket C. All right, so we know how to find area. We know that area is equal to length times width. And we know the area of this square patch right here. So we're going to fill in our little formula. We have an area of 12. That is the grass rectangle. Now, what are the side lengths of the grass rectangle? This by this. Well, we just figured out what this side was. Because it's a square, it's the same as this side over here, so we know that we have an X to the 1/2 power. So there's our length, X to the 1/2 power, times now the width is right here, which also is the same side length as one of our sides of blanket B. Well, blanket B has an area of 8. So again, we can take the square root of 8 to find each side length. Because it's a square, we can square root it, which is the same thing as 8 to the 1/2 power. So we know that blanket B has side lengths of 8 to the 1/2 by 8 to the 1/2. So what we notice is we've got this area of 12, and the sides are X to the 1/2 by 8 to the 1/2. So let's fill in the width is 8 to the 1/2 power. And now we have an equation where we can solve for X. And once we have the value of X in our blanket C, X is the area, and we are looking for the area. So let's go back to our equation. We've got 12 equals. Now what we want to notice here is we are multiplying 2 terms that are being raised to the same exponent. So what we can do here is we can go ahead and multiply the X times the 8, just kind of put those together with the same exponent of 1/2. All right, so there's a cool thing that we're gonna be able to do here. Basically, we want to get in here to this X to solve for it. So how do we undo this raised to the 1/2 power? So we can take our equation and use exponent properties. If I raise this side to the 2nd power, which means make sure I do that to the other side also, then we've got our power of a power property that we can use where we multiply these exponents right here. So I'm just going to carry down. We have 8x. Now 1/2 times 2 is 1. And 8x raised to the 1st power is just 8x. So essentially what we realized or recognized is if we have an exponent of 1/2 and we're trying to cancel that in a way, make it go away so that we can get in here to the to where our variable is, we can raise it to the second power knowing that we would use an exponent property that has us multiply these two together, and 1/2 times 2 was 1, essentially leaving us with just the 8x. But because we're working with an equation, we have to square both sides. So we've got a 12 on the left, we're going to square that and get 144. And now we have an equation we can solve. We'll divide both sides by 8, and we get x equals 144 divided by 8 is 18. And we were asked, what is the area of blanket C? And we just said this a minute ago. The area is x, so we just figured out that x is 18. So the area of blanket C, is 18 yards squared.